I had such a big fan. Hi, I'm Sally Mills. I'm here to talk to you about bots and log files after lunch. We excited? Yeah? Yay! Hey, that's actually pretty good. I thought you guys were like, oh, yeah, okay. Before I go into this, I'm actually going to just say a thank you to Prosperity and the team and James for putting on this event, because this event is always put together so well. It's a big commitment doing a massive conference like this, and I just think the SEO community is so important. So I run SEO Collective and SEO Beers in Brisbane, and I've met so many long-term friends. A lot of them Queenslanders are here, so that's awesome. And I just wanted to say that go to your little community events, because that's where you learn, that's where you make really friends. And the other thing is, if you don't have a community event, make one. So like I started SEO Beers when I came back from a conference and I was whinging to my manager and I was like, there's no event in Brisbane, there's no SEOs, I'm in-house, I have no one to talk to. And she's like, why don't you just make one? I was like, oh, okay. And now it's, 8 years later, and it's an amazing community. So if you haven't got one, make one. If not, go to one. There's one on the Gold Coast as well, one in Newcastle as well, Sydney, Melbourne, so reach out and do it. Now, today I'm going to talk to you about log files, but I'm going to start with dead internet theory. I thought I'd start with a conspiracy theory. Who here is aware of dead internet theory? Okay, there's a few. So the whole idea behind this is that one day the whole internet is just going to be bots, right? Now this was sort of came up in around 2020, probably on 4chan or who knows where. Now the fact of it is we're probably feeling that it's already heading that way, right? Like, if you guys have been on any social media platform lately, what are you seeing? Lots of comment spam, lots of bots. You can't even tell what's real anymore, right? Like, I don't think this is a conspiracy theory anymore. I think this is just becoming a theory, and we're well on our way to having an internet full of bots and no more humans on there. So how are we tracking? Imperva actually do a study every year at look at how many bots are on the internet, good and bad bots. So you've got good bots, you've got Google bots, you might have internal processes, like I have a little website called Dog Games that sends data off to a platform called Ready to Ship, and that sends data back to mine. That's a good bot. I want to keep it. You might have CRMs that are contacting your website. Good bot. Then you've got all the bad, shady bots. So anything that's malicious, anything that's scraping, we could maybe argue that maybe AI is a bad bot as well. I mean, it's all subjective. But the point is we are now at 50% bots on the internet, 50% bots hitting our sites. It does vary by industry, is a big thing to note. I think what's interesting, the number one up there is gaming for bad bots, which just makes me laugh. That's really just people wanting to cheat. People wanting to cheat at gaming and using malicious bots to try and up their scores and be better at it. As you go down, you've got a bit of travel. I thought it was really interesting reading into it, and seat spinning. So you've got bots going there and actually buying seats off airlines for 24 hours and holding them and filling up airlines and causing massive issues for big companies. Further down, we've got things like entertainment, which got a lot of good bots because they do a lot of automation stuff in there. And then even things like financial services. So I work in-house in financial services. And obviously you get a lot of that more malicious intent, trying to get in logins and all of that. So what's that mean for us SEOs? Well, us SEOs love to pretend we are optimizing for the user. Like we do, right? Like we're thinking about the user. We talk about we're optimizing for the user. And like we should be. We know Google uses click data to decide on rankings. Now this graph was going around, this has been going around a while. I think it was on so many slide decks last year, but I'm just going to put it up there again because what it means, it came out of the antitrust trial in the US, is that if a user clicks through from the SERPs onto your website and then clicks back again, that's a very clear signal to Google that it didn't match the intent or it's not a good website, right? And it's not a new thing. It's been, Rand Fishkin talked about it back in 2014, and everyone told he's wrong, but he's very much right. So that's why click-through rate's important. That's why usability is important. But the thing is less people are clicking, right? So we're losing this user engagement, right? If you have a look at Google AI overviews, people aren't clicking through. I mean, Yes, you could click through if it's a more different intent search, but anything informational. We're no longer having users click through. We're actually starting to have to optimize for bots. So I think we should be paying attention to what bots are doing on our websites. So I've got 2 websites. I've got a little one called Safe Suburbs that I built as a case study in 2021. I don't know when that was. It is really out of date. The data is about 1.5 years old. It has, what have we got? We've got 419 URLs, 372 HTML pages. It gets about 1,000 users a month. It ranks for low volume, long tail statistical queries. It doesn't rank very well. Red Suburbs from Alex over there does a lot better and is much nicer, so use his for your statistics data. It basically ranks for anything like, is Surrey Hills safe? I had to think of some Sydney locations. In my term, is Maruka safe, or is Brisbane City safe? And it will appear. My other website that I take a little bit more seriously is Dog Games, which is just a small e-commerce selling enrichment toys. So 700 URLs, 121 HTML pages. Now I've split that out because we've got a lot of images on there. You've got to remember that we're not just HTML pages. So bots are going to be looking at images, bots will look at JavaScript files, CSS, all of that. Gets about 1,800 monthly users, and it ranks pretty well for sort of dog enrichment toy searches. So let's dig into some of its bots today, and hopefully I can demystify, which is a very GPT word, log files for you all. This scary piece of code is a log file, a very short one. So each line is a different bot user, which I will break down. We're going to go slowly today. So when we're looking at log files, there'll be thousands of these lines in there, right? So if we're thinking Safe Suburbs, my programmatic one, there's about 33,000 hits a month from different bots users all over. We look at my Dog Games ones, 110,000. Lots of bots are hitting your sites all the time, lots of users included. But let's take a step back. What is a log file? Where do you get it? Because the biggest issue I hear every SEO goes is, I can't even get log files, right? Has anyone here tried and you just can't? You cannot get them. They're a pain in the ass to get. The first step is, if you run off to infrastructure or IT and you're like, I want log files, they'll be like, what logs? Like which ones, right? Because you've got error logs, you'll have log files for maybe different plugins on WordPress. What we're looking for is access logs. You want access logs, they'll usually be in Apache or they'll be Nginx. I thought about this the other day. I've never said that word out loud before, and I was like, I don't know how to say Nginx. Anyway, there'll be 2 sorts. And what it'll be is a really big file with a whole heap of different data. Sometimes if you're getting them yourself and you have your own websites, you might be really lucky and they're just in your server under a folder called logs. And then you're like, thank God. If they're not in there, check your hosting. You might just need to click a box to be like, can you store my logs? If you're working with a much bigger company, they might not even store them, because if you're starting to think massive scale, so like my little e-commerce website, that has 110,000 logs a month. If you're thinking big, they're not going to store it. It's going to take up too much space storing them. So it's really just working with whoever's got them. And that's the hardest part of log files. Like that right there is getting them. That's the hardest bit. So every time an iPhone user, Firefox user, Ahrefs, Screaming Frog, OpenAI, Googlebot comes to your website, they're leaving a trace. They're leaving some information that we can then take and have a look at and have a bit of understanding into. So we're going to use Googlebot here as an example. So Googlebot hitting will leave this one line, which probably looks incredibly confusing. But I know we've got beginners in here like Sandy that we're trying to basically basic down, educate. So IP addresses. Who here knows what an IP address is? Okay, good. This basically says where it's come from. If you're on your home internet and you check your IP address on your phone and your computer, you'll probably have the same IP address, right? Like the classic is, I'm getting a Facebook ad that my partner kept talking about because he wanted to redo his front porch, wanted to do the new railing, and he's Googling things, right? And then I'm now getting ads for like front porch stuff. I'm like, I don't want that. But we're on the same IP address, right? So that's that bit of information there. The next bit is your date and time. You guys can do that one. That's straightforward. The only thing with date and time is that it will be dependent on your server. So it's just a matter of maybe doing a bit of date conversion to find out when this bot has hit your server. This is where it starts to get interesting. So we've now got get, which basically means I want to get this page here. And now I'm going to clear up. I am not a developer, so I'm doing it in basis terms. Do not ask me to explain protocols too much, so I'm doing a very basic error. But what we're doing is we're getting that URL slow feeders, and then we're using HTTP protocol. So if anyone knows about HTTP protocols, basically it used to be Spidey back in the day, and then it's upgraded to HTTP 1, which is a lot of bots will use and a lot of browsers will use. And then we might also use HTTP 2, which is just a faster protocol. You guys don't need to worry about that. What you guys care about is that URL in there. So that URL in there, slow feeders, is what you want to have a look at. Because this line of code here is saying that Googlebot has hit the slow feeders page. And that can be really interesting because that will also have parameters on it. And you can really start to dig into things. And every site will have different information, different errors in there. An example for dog games, I don't actually have an example because you guys don't want to look at a really long URL. Every time a bot hits my website and hits the add to cart button, it's spitting up another unique URL. Real pain in the ass, right? And I need to fix it. And I wouldn't have really known that unless I dug into that. And it helps you sort of find different ways to fix things. And like even on that there, you've got a no-follow tag. So realistically, it should be not doing that right, but Googlebot doesn't listen. So that's that bit of the confusing bit of code. Next one, status codes. We all know what a status code is, yes? So this will tell you what the status code of that bot is hitting. So in this case, Googlebot got a 200 status code. Fantastic. Win. Done. That's what I want, assuming I do want a 200 status code for that. That's not always the case. This is an example of one of my old pages I used to have on there that I had 301 redirected last year sometime. There is no internal links pointing to this URL on my website. None at all. Googlebot still hits it about 10 times a month. So I regularly hear SEOs go, oh, you only need to leave redirects in for like a year. No. Keep your redirects in place because there could be external backlinks pointing to things. I work with some quite old websites that have probably gone through hundreds of different site migrations, different URLs. If I was to not keep those redirects in place, Googlebot would just constantly be hitting all these URLs from old backlinks, from like old forum backlinks, right? And wouldn't be landing where I want them to. So that's the first lesson I could learn straight away just from looking at my log files, is that you need to keep them in place. Your redirects are important. Another one, category pages. I mean, I talked a lot about Screaming Frog before, and I'll probably continue to talk a bit today about Screaming Frog. You'll see where Google's following links through your site and landing on a 404. So fix your internal links. It's important. You can actually see where they're heading. The other thing with this is quite often we're not aware of all the various 404s that exist that should be redirected somewhere else. Bot log files will give you an insight into that one a lot more. So fix your internal links, redirect 404s unless there should be a 404. Help users and bots navigate the web, really. Another one, did we want another data point for Core Web Vitals? Yeah? We had enough data points? Oh, yes, I was like, yes. So you got the size, the bytes. So this one can be really important if you've got very big JavaScript files or very big pages. You can straight away see how big that page is. You don't want to you're trying to make Google's life easy. So nice small bytes is good, right? You'll have big outliers. Maybe they're taking a long time to request a CSS file and you're going, that's not good, right? So this just gives you that insight into how their experience, that bot's experience is on your website. This one here probably gets SEOs excited because it's a HTTP referrer, so you can see where they've come from, how the bot's gotten there, right? Unfortunately, a lot of the time, log files don't have that in there, which really hurts me every time. could be valuable information of, oh, they actually got referred from here. But it does, in this case, you can see that they got to the slow feeder page from the dog puzzles page. Hopefully that's making sense so far. Finally, the user agent. This is where I'm super obsessed with looking at. This bit of line here will tell you which bot or user, because it could be a browser, is hitting your website. So in this case, this is Googlebot's one. This can be spoofed. So a lot of you have probably actually spoofed it before. So if you've ever used Screaming Frog and changed your user agent, or in your browser, you can also change your user agent, you're spoofing it, right? You're pretending to be Googlebot. So for the tool I used with Screaming Frog Log File Analyzer, you can actually verify the bots. So what that means is that Googlebot, for example, Google releases this big long list of IP addresses. So the IP address with that top one, it'll actually verify that 66249.68.68 is Googlebot. It's not spoofed, it's legit, because it's very likely that your competitors could be crawling your site and spoofing it. So we're always verifying bots. Now, with all of this information, we can then actually have a look at what they're doing. So this is just over the month. You can see Googlebot is really leading the charge on this graph here. This is dog games, I'm pretty sure. But there's a whole range of different bots hitting different times. Sometimes things will spike. Maybe you've gone and changed a whole heap of pages, you've added new ones, you've updated content and decided to spike. So it can be really, really interesting. Today, though, let's find out, is my websites dead yet? Are they dead? They're not, which is good, right? Unsurprisingly, the e-commerce one has more users. So remember that second slide with the split, it was about 50-50 bots and humans, right? Right now, dog games is 60-40, which is good. Still got some users, still some real people on the internet, which is really nice. I'm actually surprised with the programmatic website that it's actually 50-50, because that website's so out of date. The data's not trustworthy. You're better off going to red suburbs. But the bots still love it, and clearly people still love it too. But let's dig into bots more, because that's what we're here. We're not here to talk about users. That's other presentations. Hopefully you've taken enough notes today. What bots? So I have had to categorize them myself, because I sort of built my own thing to do this instead, because I'm fussy with how I want to do things. What we'll see is it does vary by site. This is why I think log files are interesting, and they're very independent of the website and the category. So SEO crawlers, they're using quite a bit of bandwidth. They're taking up a lot of time hitting my websites, looking through things, which I'll break down later. You've got a bit of social media bots, so you're thinking every time someone shares something in, say, Facebook Messenger, and then it's got to hit my website to pull out Open Graph information like meta titles and stuff. That's social media bot, got to hit it. Search engines up there, no surprise there. And then, of course, there's a bit of AI. And if we have a look at the programmatic and the e-commerce, there is a hell of a lot more AI hitting my programmatic. And the final one on the left-hand side, you'll see business app. That's sort of any business application that's hitting it, and a lot of it might be CRMs, some of the software I use for shipping stuff, completely good, normal bots I'd expect to have. So let's break it down the next bit, search versus AI. I think this one's really interesting, and I have some theories, right? So we look at my e-commerce, it's mainly search engine. And we look at programmatic, it's about a 50-50 split. I really wish I had data from a year ago for the programmatic. I don't, unfortunately. But the big difference is when we actually have a look at the pages that it's hitting, is the AI bot's very obsessed with anything informational. So on dog games, I have like 5 or 6 blog posts. AI is coming to those informational blog posts again and again and again. Whereas the programmatic one, that's literally just all informational. It's all just programmatic, spit out data, which suburbs are safe, how many murders have been in this one. So it's very different, and that AI bot is just continuing to come back to outdated information to collect. So let's break it down again. So let's start with the programmatic. As I said, AI is obsessed with it. The data is out of date. I have theories that why is it continuing to hit it, right? Servers can respond with a 310, which is 304, which is a not modified, so the website hasn't changed. And OpenAI is clearly not listening to that and just continues to scrape it and clearly wants to be the owner of my data, Queensland Police's data. You've then got Google, obviously, and it makes me quite happy that the e-commerce is mostly Google when it comes to those bots. It's quite good. A big call out is a petal search as well. We've probably not used that unless you've got a Huawei, that one. OpenAI's in there on the e-commerce side too, but as I said, it's mainly crawling my blog posts. It's not really that interested right now in my product pages. Then ByteDance. So ByteDance is parent company of TikTok. So Chinese, it is crawling my e-commerce site a lot. I have now got it blocked. I'll talk a bit more about that a little bit later, but as to what they're doing with that data, I don't know. We know that DeepSeek came out, but we don't have any actual information as to, is it actually using ByteDance? We've assumed it, but I can't find anything on the net to confirm. There is another AI platform in China that is said to be linked with ByteDance as well. But this is the value of actually having a quick check, right? Like, where's your data going? Who's taking it? Who's using it? Actually controlling our service and our information. The funny thing you can then do is that I've worked out that we've got bots crawling bots. So on Dog Games, the e-commerce site, you guys, a lot of you are familiar with these annoying SRLTID URLs. So they pop up in, they're meant to only pop up in the shop area of Google, right? But they seem to pop up elsewhere. But what this log tells me is that Perplexity bot is actually crawling Google to then find my website data. So there's a theory in there that if you want to be ranking higher in LLMs, you probably need to be ranking higher in Google, right? Like, if you're not indexed in Google, then you have very little chance of actually then appearing in LLMs. I also noticed that OpenAI is as well. Perplexity just goes a lot harder at crawling Google's URLs. And finally, SEOs aren't really helping too with our tools. Now, I have talked to Tim. Ahrefs is a bit of a mixed one there because it's also Yep as well. And I will say he's also signed off as a good bot. So that one's fine. I'll keep Ahrefs. The other one on there is Barbertech. Does anyone know what Barbertech is? No, I didn't either. That's another SEO company. Their tool might be really great, but I haven't heard of them. Maybe I'll go check them out. But they're using a fair amount of my bandwidth crawling things. And I wouldn't have known that unless I opened up my log files to have a bit of a squiz. Moz is up there as well, SEMrush too. But we just need to be keeping a bit of an eye on it. So can we even block them? I blocked them. Sorry, Tim. Luckily, they listen now. So they do listen. I will say this isn't a fair test on ByteDance, though, because I moved servers to Cloudways, and Cloudways automatically blocks ByteDance. There was quite a bit last year with Perplexity and not listening to robots.txt. So when we have new bots come out and we discover new bots, we need to probably check they're actually going to listen, because they might not listen. And you might need to do it through htaccess instead, which is, that's a file on your server that you can come and ask me about later. And you might just be able to do it through Cloudflare or whatever firewall you're using as well. There was quite a bit of, actually I'll go over that a little bit. I'm not the only one blocking them now. I might unblock one of them, I don't know yet, I'm going to test. Of Cloudflare's data and the top 10,000 domains, a lot of them are blocking different bots. Your GPT bot is really heavily blocked up there. Perplexity bot. Google Extended is Gemini's backing one. Interestingly, Google Extended hasn't crawled my websites at all. Well, they weren't in that month that I looked at. So I'm a bit sus on Google Extended. So a whole heap of different bots and Amazon bots in there as well. Over time, so this is this is Cloudflare's sort of data over time, and you'll see it's just changing all the time, right? ByteDance got a lot of bad press last year because people couldn't block them. They kept changing their IP, they kept changing their user agent, makes it very hard to block. You can see GPT there, which is that dirty yellow greeny line, has really sort of climbed. I don't actually know if that there includes GPT search, which is a different user agent. So you've got 2 different user agents for GPT. There's a lot in log files, and it gets quite complex. But the thing is we, like us SEOs sort of should be watching this stuff, but I encourage you all to be besties with the infrastructure guys, right? Because you can save them a lot of money. So Nerdcrawler, I actually thought this was going to be like an SEO or analytics related thing. Nerdcrawler is actually like a comic book art website. So not SEO related. But what they did is they saved 60% of their bandwidth by blocking ByteDance. Like that was 64 gigabytes over 2 weeks it was using on their website. That is expensive once you start really ramping up to bigger and bigger and bigger websites, right? So if you want to make your IT guys happy, be like, we should also look at log files because ByteDance might be costing us thousands, hundreds of thousands. So good tip, and then they'll like you more, and then they'll give you log files, and then you can get all your other weird bits done that you need done. So I think the other question is, should we be blocking AI bots? I mean, I don't know if we've really got a choice currently. We've got AI mode coming from Google. We've got AI overviews everywhere we look. You can't actually opt out of the AI overviews easily. They're treating it as a SERP feature. So you think people also ask AI overviews just another SERP feature. It's not AI, it's not the same thing. So we're sort of in this situation where we can't even really avoid it, which is sad. And I know we've talked a lot about how we shouldn't be optimizing for GPT, and because it's such a small share, which I agree. But the problem is that Google's already got it, right? They've already got the market share. It's already there. The LLMs are there, right there in the SERPs. And we all say that, and I agree, Kyle talked about how they don't know what AI is, like our parents and everyone doesn't know. But I was at dinner last Saturday night with my partner's mum and partner, and they were saying how much they love Gemini. They absolutely love Gemini. They love when it pops up. They love when AI overviews pop up. And I know there was that report where they said their user testing showed people really love it. And I went, that's silly. I think it's horrible, right? But that's the bubble we live in. The fact is that they do love it. Like, the boomers love it. They're getting their answer right there and then. And the problem is we already missed our opportunity, I think, to stop Google doing this, stop Google taking all our data. So we're a bit late to the party with featured snippets. We should have put our foot down there. Like, we really just missed that opportunity to be like, this is our content, you can't have it, let's block their bots. It's a bit late now, unfortunately. And those AI competitors are just going to continue to come. Gemini is going to take over. And on top of that, the click-through rate, we're getting less and less clicks through to search, right? This graph here I really, really love, and it just shows the impact of the EU GDPR and what they've done with search results having less features versus the US. And I imagine that Australia would be pretty similar to the US on that one there. So what we can see from that graph is that less people are clicking through from the search results, which is really shit. We're getting less users through our website. So hopefully Australia can get on top of it and we can act like the EU like this. But for now, with more zero-click searches, we truly are optimizing for bots. So time to keep an eye on your bots.